You know, I spent a good solid almost year not making a video about a Bleacher Report article. But then, a couple weeks ago, less than a week ago, I made a video about a Bleacher Report article, and it was actually a smart one. It was, we should trade for Zion Johnson. And I said, hey, Bleacher Report, it's 2025. I haven't talked about you yet. Clearly, you guys are turning over a new leaf. And I'm proud of you. You know they're not going to hit twice, guys. They're going one hit and they're out. So, yeah. Every NFL's team's most overpaid player following peak 2025 free agency. So what this means is it's not just potentially just the free agents they signed. They're not doing it based on like, oh, these are the free agents they signed. These are the most overpaid players. What they're doing is they're saying including those guys. So you look at a roster, right, 53-man roster right now, and they're picking out one player who is the most overpaid player. So it doesn't just have to be, you know, like, oh, the Ravens signed DeAndre Hopkins, right? It's not just the free agent list, or else it would be just one player for the Ravens. I don't even know if they signed anybody else. I haven't been following along with them. But, so that's the whole point of this article, okay? You already know who ours is going to be. Come on now. Come on now. Everyone said we ripped off T. Higgins. Everyone said we screwed over T. Higgins. We gave him no money. We didn't give him his worth. So now Bleacher Report is going to come in and say, guys, guess who overpaid T. Higgins? Anyway, AFC East. All right, so Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa is an interesting one. Could I disagree with this greatly? Joey Bosa could be worth the money. I think they actually got him on a pretty good deal. 1 year, $12.6 million. And as long as he stays healthy, I think he's going to be a really, really good signing. But it's all about his health. If you look at as of recently, he has not been healthy. So if he can't stay healthy, this was a waste of $12.6 million. Now, obviously, recent history bias would say he won't stay healthy. But again, that's based on, you know, biasy of what happened recently and not what will happen in the future. And you can never predict a player to get injured. That's just not how things work. So I like the contract. They needed to replace Von Miller. They replaced Von Miller. And I get it. Joey Bosa's not going to go out there and put up like, you know, Trey Hendrickson numbers, but he's still a pretty solid player, and they need to fix their defensive line. They lost a pass rusher. They replaced him, and they really didn't overpay crazy money. So I think it was a good one. Tua. Yeah, it really comes down to Tua's injury history and his risk of re-injury. That's really what this comes down to, the most overpaid player. Yeah, they're in a weird spot with that. Patriots is edge rusher Milton Williams. I believe they just signed this guy, if I'm not correct. Overpaying anyone right now is not that big of a deal. It's really not. For the Patriots, that is. The Patriots have this thing called a rookie quarterback on a rookie contract. And they're not really paying many players on their roster that much money. That's why they had $120 million going into free agency. Because of that, they can really overpay, and it's not going to be the end all be all for them. Now, the guy who they did overpay the most would be Stephon Diggs, who they paid 3 years, $23 million a pop to when he's 30, 31, 32 years old. He's like 30 something. That is an overpay because you're just paying him that money for his naming rights. And that, my friend, is an overpay. But Milton Williams, no doubt a 4-year contract is massive overpay for a 25-year-old third-round pick who just had 19 starts. But again, they can do that because they're not paying their quarterback $270 million. You know, you can get away with overpaying players like this because it's what the Patriots did a couple years ago. Is it smart? No. But they are in a team where they're kind of just throwing crap at the wall and hoping it sticks. So it is what it is. Michael Carter II. The Jets and overpay is just common. Yeah, I knew it was going to be T. Higgins. I knew it was going to be T. Higgins. I had that sneaky suspicion. All right. Ravens, Mark Andrews. Man, can't you guys just let him go? Like, let him live. Man got absolutely destroyed after that playoff game. No, I do actually feel bad for him, but it is what it is. T. Higgins. Everyone says we ripped him off. Everyone said we underpaid him. And now we're in a situation where we overpaid him. I wrote in this spot last year that the $21.8 million franchise tag rate is silly for a player who's never gone over 75 catches and 1,100 yards or 7 touchdowns in 4 non-Pro Bowl campaigns. He did score 10 touchdowns in 2024, and the rest remain true for a player now making $28.8 million per season. Here's what I'll say about the T. Higgins situation. He took a very team-friendly deal to stay with us. If he hit free agency after all those guys got signed this year in free agency, he probably would have gotten $30+ million. And I know that's crazy because I said he would never get $30+ million. But I also didn't expect everyone else to overpay. Yeah. So I don't know. Across the board, he took a team-friendly deal to stay with us. And his contract, how it's loaded, it's backloaded. It works out very well for us. So yes, he's making $28.8 million, but it's not like he's actually making that. It's pushed down the road, and there's always an area to restructure it in the future. So I'm really not upset with his contract. Again, everyone says we ripped him off. Bleacher Report comes in like Batman and just says, "Oh, no, overpaid." Who cares at this point? At the end of the day, we signed him. It works out in our salary cap. It works out for our team. I don't care what you think and what anybody thinks. And yes, Deshaun Watson is always the most overpaid player for every single Browns roster. That was such a Cleveland Brownies move. Like, if you ever had to talk to a non-football fan and say and they ask you hey, what's wrong with the Cleveland Brownies? Why do people always make fun of them? That's what you do. You just point out that fact right there. Oh, they traded for Deshaun Watson. Who is he? Let's just say they didn't have a happy ending at the end. Edge rusher Alex Highsmith. I don't know. I mean, yeah, he's still a really great player. But again, sometimes it's this is what I always hate about the idea of quote unquote overpaying someone. Because listen, at the end of the day, if you go back in history, right, Calvin Ridley got overpaid by the Titans. When Calvin Ridley went to the Titans, they paid him stupid money for no reason. And that is an overpay. If you pay someone stupid money, if we paid T. Higgins $45 million, that would be way overpaid. But in the end, there's a going rate for players when they are signing new deals and signing new contracts. You might not like it, and you might say it's bullcrap to how much the guys are getting paid, but that's just how it is. This is how it works. While yes, you might not agree with it, it is what it is. So if a receiver is about to get a new contract, he's going to get the going rate for how much his position gets at, with a new contract. And T. Higgins' going rate was $25 to $30 million. He got paid $28.8. That's right in the going rate. It is what it is. Texans, Autry, DeForest Buckner. Trevor Lawrence, man. He is never not catching strays. Colton Sutton. Travis Kelce. Yeah, Kelce is a nothing burger anymore. He's like a puppet at this point. Wilkins and Khalil Mack. Okay. Dak Prescott. The new Cleveland Browns quarterback. Or I guess it's going to be, what's his name? Kirko Cousins, who right now is in Cleveland. Anyway, Andrew Thomas, Devonta Smith, and Marshawn Lattimore. Marshawn Lattimore is making, I think, $18 million for a guy who I shouldn't be making anything close to that. Cole Kmet, Allen McNeil, Jair Alexander. Apparently, they're trying to move Jair Alexander. That's another right now rumor. So maybe he'll get moved. Jonathan Allen, yeah. Again, keep in mind, if, for example, let's say Kirko Cousins. Let's say, for example, a team doesn't have really any overpaid players. they still have to select one. So that's another factor you got to keep in mind with this list is like, if you're like, oh no, that team doesn't have any guys who really overpaid, they still have to select one in order to make this list. So some of these guys might not be like crazily overpaid, but they're overpaid for the fact of like, you know, they had to select somebody to say they're overpaid. But for the most part, this list is not atrociously bad. I just disagree greatly with T. Higgins being overpaid, but it's almost like to a point now, it's like a comical joke where it's like, okay, well, everyone now is either going to say he's ripped off or he's overpaid. And that's just kind of how it is. And we're going to go forever back and forth. And we're going to find out at the end of his contract, when he plays through his whole contract, was he overpaid or was he correctly paid? And only time will tell. See you guys next one, though. Uday.